Everybody
Yes.
ready?
Yes, ready.
Okay. What I thought I'd do is have you guys, I'll just call each of you out, like to introduce yourselves, and then I thought I would split it up into like 3 different sections of like pre-production, during production, post-production, so that way you can kind of hit your key points in each of those sections. And you all get to talk about what you want to talk about rather than just kind of like one-time deal. So I'll just start with Lexi since she's on my left. If you want to introduce yourself.
I'm Lexi Luna, adult performer, model, educator. I do a little bit of everything. I taught school before. I was in porn, so the education track is really where my passion is, and that's why I'm here. We're just doing intros. We're not. No. Intro.
Yeah, just intros for right now. Okay. Wayne.
There we go. As you all may or may not know, I am Dee's husband, director, producer, owner, sometimes talent. So kind of have a well-rounded view of everything when it comes to the industry. So that's it. Thank you everyone for coming in, by the way. The room's getting stacked. So cool.
Yeah, we got 69.
Yay. Perfect.
No one else can come in. Sorry. Room's busy.
Right, we're taking anyone else. Miss Kim.
Hi. I am a professional dominatrix and fetish content producer and educator. So I've been in this industry for 15 plus years. And I've taught quite a few classes regarding online sex work, which is where my bread and butter is at.
Awesome.
So,
and Miss Alana.
Hi, everyone. I'm Alana Evans. I've been in porn for 22 years. I started in the 90s when we were still doing stuff on VHS. We didn't have smartphones to make porn with or anything like that. But I've seen the whole gamut as a performer, producer, director, and now back where we control ourselves. I'm still camming and doing content besides the union stuff. So, hi, everybody.
Yay. And I'm Dee Siren. If you don't know, I will be moderating this session. Basically, we are here to give you tips and all kinds of information on making clips and videos, because we've all been here for a while and we all make our own videos and our own clips and camming and all kinds of stuff. So as I said, if you just came in the room, I'm going to split it up by pre-production, go through the room, go through all of our panelists, then we'll go through during production, and then we'll go through post-production, so everybody gets a chance to kind of give the information out to everybody. So this time we're going to go back to Alana, and if you can just give us some information on pre-production. What do you do? What would you like to tell us, like you do before you start production?
So, there's different things that you have to look at. And it really comes down to what type of set you're working with, whether it's just you and a couple of friends doing content, or if maybe you're trying to do your first full-blown production, which might involve more people. For me, I'm always about being prepared beforehand, which is for you, having your paperwork set up. No matter what, if you're shooting hardcore, you got to get that 2257 docs ready, have access to a printer, have access to being able to print this kind of stuff out, tests if they're necessary. Having all of that stuff worked out beforehand, before you even get to whatever your location's going to be, is going to save so much of your stress levels. I'm not going to interject union bullshit. I don't mean to call it bullshit, but I'm not going to do that. But I will say, on the union site, we have 2257 documents, a model release, but there's a checklist there that I actually use from my full-blown production days, and it helps you kind of know itemizing what you need, because sometimes you forget to get IDs, but more importantly, you might forget to check an expiration date. You would be surprised how many people will slip you an ID that's expired, and then you're chasing them down for months trying to get it, and you can't do anything with that content if you don't have it. So for me, that's probably the biggest thing, but I'll let you guys jump in.
Okay, Ms. Kim, what is your pre-production process?
I do mostly POV, just which means point of view, which means I'm talking to the camera, and then sprinkled in there with other talent. And 2257, totally good advice. I use an online app for my 2257, which I found to be extremely useful, because then it does a lot of the check boxes for you, and then it also mails to the person that release, so that you have a record of it, they have a record of it. And organization is definitely one of my, it's not a natural talent, so it's something I really have to pay attention to. And one of the things that I really like to tell people is break down your scripts beforehand. This is not something you do on the day of shooting. So whatever it may be, whether it's a custom video or it's something that you're doing that's spec, which means you're making this stuff up for yourself and someone's not paying you to do it. Breaking down the script into a summary instead of reading it word for word while you're filming will save you a ton of time. And then wardrobe, packing that stuff beforehand, and all of the, all of the things you have to think about, all of the things that you need beforehand that you don't want to worry about the morning of or the day of shooting. So organization is key, like making a list, your packing list, your makeup, your extra SD cards, obviously your model release stuff, and breaking down your scripts.
Okay, great. Thank you for the information. Okay, Mr. Siren.
A lot of the girls before me brought up a lot of information, but really on the technical side, which I deal with, and Miss Kim kind of brought up SD cards. Make sure you have your batteries. Make sure you have all your equipment, your cameras, your video cameras, your lighting. Lighting, as all of them know, is key. So if you're not shooting at a familiar location, bring whatever you need. All the different stuff you may or may not need. Make sure you bring it. Wardrobe they brought up. It's better to have too much than not enough. If it's something where the director or producer kind of gives you an idea, hey, wear lingerie, wear a pretty sundress, whatever it is, make sure you just bring too much. I mean, you'd rather have more. When we're in the swinger world, it's called a slut bag. Bring your stuff, bring your makeup. Find out who the producer, the director, and you should already have all discussed. What kind of scene, wardrobe, all that stuff. If it's scripted, if it's gonzo, what everyone's comfortable with, and all that stuff. But technically, make sure you have your cameras. Make sure you have your mics. Test everything out first. You don't want your talent kind of sitting there as you're waiting around. Nothing sexier than doing that. And really, that's it. I guess something you could bring up too is make sure that your processing power of whatever you're going to be trying to render these in, your Mac, your PC, can handle what you're videotaping. If you're trying to do 4K files and you don't have the power, it's going to blow. So yeah, I guess that's what I can put in. That's my 2 cents.
Okay. And Lexi?
So I do most of my own production. Especially now, I mean, with COVID, everybody's kind of doing the same thing. So the thing that I've noticed that's really helped me in this time specifically is to plan my wardrobe first, and then I build my scenes around the wardrobe. I choose what I want to wear, what I feel really sexy in, what I think looks great on camera, what looks good with my background where I'm shooting. And then, okay, so I'm wearing a blouse and a tight skirt. So today I'm going to be the teacher, or I'm going to be the secretary. So then I build a script around that, and I only do the things that are my niche, which is teacher, boss, the woman in charge, if you will. So it really helps to get all my jewelry, because I want my content that I'm putting out to be as good as the professional stuff that my fans found me in, because that's where they fell in love with me. So I jack up the makeup, I do extra hair, I do my own content better than I would do content for a company, because that's, at the end of the day, that's where I'm going to make my money. It's not, the company's going to pay me once and then I'm done. So I find that doing the little extras that every company's like, oh, yeah, it'd be great if you had some jewelry. I do all of that first and make sure that I have the most robust scene that way, because then I can play with those items later on throughout the scene. I have somewhere to go with like the wardrobing and the costuming. So I think that's kind of been the thing that I've really enjoyed the process of working from home the most with, is just being able to pick the cute, fun stuff that never gets picked on set.
Okay, great. My input is pre-production is just really put some thinking into what you're going to shoot. You know, like think about it. If you don't, Wayne and I are together, so we go back and forth on what we're going to shoot and discuss it ahead of time. But if you don't have anyone to discuss it with, you know, write down ideas. You know, if you see something that you find interesting that someone else does. I mean, just because someone else does it doesn't mean you can't do it, because you're a different person. And remember that it's not a competition, because you're totally a different person. So just because you see it done before doesn't mean you can't do it. It's just you're going to do it a different way. So it's a good idea to, you know, come up with ideas and really think about what you're going to put into the scene before you just go out and kind of just do it. Plus, just don't be afraid to, you know, try something new. You know, there's all kinds of different things out there, and toys are crazy, and, you know, just think of different crazy new things to do, because we do everything. Okay, so let's move on to during production, and we'll start with you this time, Lexi.
So during production, my biggest thing, because I'm shooting by myself or I have like limited camera people available, is to make sure that I do the test. I put my arms out, I put my arms up, so I can see where I'm getting cut off, because if I go from being here to being here, I'm cut off. And I don't necessarily pay that much attention when I'm shooting my own POV stuff. I just do what the performer side feels right doing. I don't really pay attention to the technical thing, which I'm also responsible for in the time. So that's also been a little bit of an adjustment during this period, is being the entire crew yourself and just kind of making sure that you have the right sound and that you hit record and that you're like all those things to set you up for success, because I can edit most things out if I mess up a verbal thing, but I can't edit my head back into a shot. So
right. Okay.
It's just those little technical pieces that you don't really think about until you're sitting in front of it at the end and you're like, stood up and can't move the camera.
Oh, exactly. Or in an uncomfortable position where you're like, that looks really weird.
Yeah.
Okay. Wayne?
Yeah, when it comes to during production, if you kind of planned it out and had your pre-production stuff done right, it should be pretty smooth. You know, your camera skills, all that is each individual. Everyone's going to make a mistake. Everyone may accidentally, you know, erase their HD card before they downloaded the stuff onto their Mac or anything like that. Not having, you know, if you have an extra mic, forgetting to turn it on, all that stuff. So having a checklist, you know, like Alana said, is really good. I started doing that because it's the small little fucking things you don't realize until afterwards, and then the scene is blown, especially if you paid for it or anything like that. I know other girls brought it up. Go with the flow. Go with the flow. You know, it's like ab-libbing, so you kind of have to not, you know, worry about it too much. And something else is anyone can stop the scene at any time, especially during it. And not because you're uncomfortable. I'm fucking thirsty. You know, I need some water. Hold on a second. One of those kind of things. And you should feel comfortable to be like, okay, I need some water. Hold on 1 second. You know, one of those kind of things. Or I'm in this fucked up position, which was fun at first, but now it kind of, you know, sucks. And then also one other thing I'd like to add in is you got to know your time. As a director, producer, and I guess if you're doing your own content, you know, you don't want to think it's been long and it's been 10 minutes when you're trying to get a 20-minute video. So keep track of that, or vice versa. You know, if it's going on too long, positions too, I guess I can add that. If you are a director or producer trying to film others, switch up your positions. You know, usually a good 4 to 5 minutes each position is good. If you keep the girl doggy style, unless it's that specific type of scene for, you know, the whole 20 minutes, you know, not that it'll get boring, but it's good to change it up. So that's it that I have during production.
Okay. And Miss Kim?
Okay, so building on that, running a clock is a good thing to do. So if you have a digital clock that's easy to read and really big, you can easily check to see how long you've been filming to know where you're at, because it's easy to let it carry away. You're all of a sudden you have a 10-minute video that you were paid for 10 minutes and you're now 15 minutes, and now you have to go back in and re-edit in post. It's a waste of time. So for efficiency, having that little tool is really useful. Something else I was just thinking about, I teach some of this stuff in some of my classes, which is the ideas for the kinds of videos that you're doing should come from what you know sells. So like your core categories, the things that you do best should be the most of what you're doing, I think, because when you know what sells for you, and that's where some of your research comes in, you know which categories do really well for you. Like for me, I know stockings and pantyhose, home wrecker, and like I can list off the exact things that I know will work. So even if my ideas aren't fully fleshed out, it's still fine, because in that category I know I'll do well. So having that, knowing that going in, is a good thing to know, to do.
Okay, awesome. Alana?
Thank you. I want to chime in on something Ms. said. You are absolutely right. I turn my cell phone on, and depending on whether I want to limit the amount of time I'm filming or just see how long, I'll set my phone somewhere where I can see it just like that, so that I can keep track. Something about just being the performer in the filming and being the producer, director, editor, and everything. I revert to weird spaces sometimes, and I don't know if it's the anxiety that I think we all might get when we have the pressure of wearing all of those hats on us. So I try to think back while I'm in the moment of being active, looking at the camera, paying attention, and not losing my mojo. Because, I've been doing this for 22 years, sure, but we all have those moments where maybe we're not feeling that great. We have to get back into our headspace because crap, we're going to lose a whole day of filming. We all do it. And so for me, it's while in the moment, just trying to make sure that I'm in a good space, that I'm calm, that I'm relaxed, whatever it is that I need to do to give myself the best content. Because I tell you what, we are so lucky that we get to make the money ourselves and not have to rely on the big studios when I did way back in the day coming up, because now it is all on us. It is all of our ability. So that moment in time, you want to be your best you, but don't be afraid. The one thing that I learned about watching my content after the fact too was, wow, I'm way more awesome than I realized I was. And that's having that confidence. It's not me being egotistical, because God, I'm like, we are our own worst critics, and we got to stop beating ourselves up, because what we see while we're filming, our fans don't care about. They don't care about the ripple or the smile line. They're just happy that it's us. So when you're filming, just have that confidence. I think that's the biggest thing that I can share. And be yourself. What you like and what you enjoy is what your fans are going to want to see you doing. And so, yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Before we start,
Okay.
Could I add a couple things and then answer some questions? Sure. One thing I really want to add that I totally forgot, and I always forget this: turn your fucking AC off. Turn your AC off. Turn your AC off. Otherwise, you gotta and you can try to edit that out, but it doesn't work. Turn your AC off. That's part of my checklist. And ringers, make sure you have your phones off. That's kind of a given, but your AC really sucks. Someone said, no, you're filming. Definitely. That's pre-production, and that should help. Same thing with photos. If you kind of know if you're just doing pretty girls, hardcore stills, I guess, kind of help with the positions you're going to do. We don't do that. Multiple angles, looking pro or amateur. Someone asked that. We shot a lot of amateur and pro-am, and moving up, we just keep it to one. I mean, in real life, if you're just having a gangbang in a hotel room with someone you know or your wife, very seriously doubt you're going to have one camera set up, your cell phone, all that kind of stuff. So like all these girls said, play to your audience, play who you're trying to sell to. Doesn't mean you can't have multiple different types of audiences, but definitely sell to the right people. Someone else said reuse videos, definitely. No, all the fans we could potentially have. And not just that, there's always new sites popping up to sell it. So, make sure you can always reuse it. And yeah, that's it. When it comes to time, clocks are good and all that kind of stuff. Once you start doing it a while, you can have a feel for how long it's been. Like, fuck, it's been 30, 40 minutes already. Or, yeah, this feels kind of short. But yeah, I'll always keep track of that. So that's it. Just trying to help out a little bit more.
Okay. Let's see. And then we're going to go on to post-production. Well, first of all, I guess I also wanted to add in there, like during production, personally, like Alana was saying with headspace and that kind of thing, I think you just have to really be prepared for what you're about to do and keep your fans in mind. I think it's so important to... I think they really, honestly, at this stage of time, and especially during all this crazy COVID stuff, they really love interaction and they really love you, like as a person, and not just as a somebody to jerk off to or whatever. But they really like the fact that you're there. So talk to them and make interaction. It depends on the type of scene you're shooting, of course, but I know a lot of you guys do OnlyFans. I know a lot of you use that type of thing and mini vids, and we are talking about clips here. So with the fact that you're shooting a lot for yourself, really interact with your fan, even if they're not there. Act like they're there. Talk to them like as if they're like right in front of you, because I think they react to that so well. And that's different for me because I've shot for over 10 years and I've shot pro-am, and it's always been about shooting where and my husband and I still shoot that together, but I'm also shooting my OnlyFans by myself, and I've realized that when I'm talking to them individually and I'm acting as if I'm actually talking to them more like I do on webcam, then it's so individualistic, and they really think that it's so much. You sell so much better because they even feel like you're sending that one DM that you sent out to 500 people just to them. If you really make it like, hey, I'm your best friend and I'm here just for you. So when you're making a video, just really make it as if you're talking to that one person rather than a whole group of people, because then they feel like, oh wow, you're their girlfriend or you're their boyfriend or whatever the case may be. So I just think it's important to do that. We're going to move on to post-production, and I'll just flip it around and I'll let Miss Kim talk first.
Oh, okay.
I'm mixing.
Okay. Post-production. So I'm actually going to let the others talk about editing and whatnot. I think there's a lot of information out there about post. I actually was going to talk a little bit about getting connected with your clients and customers for post-production, as this is really post, right? Like once you've made a video, you want to market it and you want to get it out to the people who you think really will want it. And one of the more important things also is not only do you want them to know what you're making, but get them excited for what you might make for them in the future. So I'm always thinking about contacting them through my email lists and specific, if I make a video, it's almost never for one person unless it is completely exclusive. So then I'll think about who that video is going to go to, whether they get it first, and how much I might be able to charge them if they get it first. So there's like a hierarchy that I consider in my mind for what happens to this video once it's made. Post-production has so much to do with also making sure you're giving people what they want. So it includes reviewing the script and checking to make sure that everything should be where it's at. Like you should be checking the script during your production to make sure that you got everything. But we have all gone through this this thing where you look at the script like an hour afterwards and you're like, fuck, I forgot a whole really important thing. And you still might be able to catch that and do it again or do it later or whatever. So that's one thing that I noticed for post. Also,
Okay.
I'm going to be right back because I forgot my charger. So
Oh, no.
Be right
no.
back, everybody.
Okay. Alana?
You know, what's funny is I know some people, and for a long time, was absolutely spoiled. And my partner, husband, did all the editing, did all the Photoshop. He did all of it. And, you know, when your relationships come to a pause and you can't do any of that yourself, that was me. But luckily I had been watching over his shoulder and picked up a lot of different things and tried to practice. So I think the first thing that I can say is post-production isn't as scary as it used to be. I'm going to talk apps. I watched him use Final Cut. I personally use Adobe Premiere. It is super user-friendly. You don't have to spend $200 to $300 at once. You can get a monthly subscription, so that helps. I learned how to use Photoshop like a big girl, and really it was very different because they've made all these changes. So things that used to be really difficult that I absolutely couldn't do by myself, now, like, you know, photoshopping out, I made my appendix card disappear and I was so proud. My fans don't care, but those little things, I couldn't do that last year on Photoshop. The app literally changed that much in that amount of time. So the power that I feel as a creator now, being able to do all of this stuff by myself without my man, I got it down now. And so literally that intimidation was totally gone. So I use Photoshop by myself. I use Premiere. It now has a program involved in it so that when you have to size it down, I also, because I saw somebody ask in the chat, how do you, what sizes are you putting up? What resolution? And OnlyFans and a lot of the other different clip sites too, they offer for you to put things up in HD. If you can do that and you have that capability, you have customers who want it. They will pay for that. And so if you have that ability, I say absolutely do it, because what the site most of the time does is actually res down the files for the people who can't pull it. So they're going to be able to access a lower resolution of OnlyFans because that's what their stuff allows them to do. So I always offer the bigger the better if you can. That's usually really helpful. But yeah, my best advice for you post is don't be afraid. It's really simple, and so much stuff can be done on your cell phone now. And with my Adobe membership, I'm not, you know, pimping them out or anything, but I get access to all this stuff on my phone that I get just for paying for the app on my computer. So I have quick little stuff now if I'm doing something on my iPhone, as opposed to, you know, doing it through my cam and editing on my big system. Yeah, it's super easy now. So as little work as possible.
Exactly. Keep it as streamlined as possible. Okay. Wayne, we'll move to you.
Lot to put into this. One thing I was going to say, again, back to pre, because when all these ladies say something, it makes me think about it. When you're going to do a scene, get everything in writing. Just email, so that when you get there, they're like, no, I said, you know, 500, not 700, or I said this, and then it's an issue. Just have it so you can kind of show, you know, what you need. Also, resolution size, things like that. You got to make sure you're doing it for whatever your media is. So if you're trying to get something on print, you need a higher resolution. You know, same thing with, you know, 4K. If you're trying to sell it certain places, you're going to need that high resolution. So remember that. And always shoot to the highest resolution you can, even if you're not using it right now. Always shoot to it. You may, you know, end up using it later. And raw files are the best. When it comes to post-production, edit to your audience again, when we first started, it was very amateur. I pretty much did nothing but crop my photos and fuck with the brightness a little bit, the exposure. That was it. I didn't crop anything out. I didn't try to smooth anything. Same thing with our videos, other than maybe cropping the beginning and the end where it was like, I'm rolling for 30 seconds before D started, or even at the end when it's like, okay, we're done, great job, and you hear me cut the camera. That was it. I didn't have to do a lot of things, so it made it really easy. So remember, you don't have to go overboard. You don't need to Photoshop your stuff, all that. That being the case, now I use Lightroom. I really don't try to get anything out when it comes to smoothing skin or anything like that. I just can make it look nicer than I did, brighter and stuff like that. And if there's a cut, if there's a scar, if someone accidentally shaves their legs and, cuts themselves, it's really nice to get that out. Also, you don't have to spend a shit ton on equipment. Again, you can start this business really cheap. Webcams, now cell phones take great high resolution photos. You can get other, snapping, click photos that are real easy. So you don't have to spend a shit ton on it. Again, make sure you edit to your audience. Don't overdo it. If you're trying to do something really kinky or something dark or anything like that, cool. If you're trying to be amateur, make sure it's, more like that. To answer some questions, make sure, your previews, we always make our previews 90 seconds to 2 minutes. We blast them all over the place to all the tubes so they know where to go. Watermark your stuff, post-production, watermark. Doesn't mean they can't take it out. Make it classy. Don't put it like on your arm or across your neck so that they're like, oh, you can't crop it out. They can. Photoshop, again, is great. You can get rid of all that crap. Just, it's there for, if it gets out and about and your fans want to find you, it'll direct them to the site you want. That's another post-production thing. And I think that's about it when it comes to post-production. Oh, another thing, post is when you can check everything. Make sure you got all your forms straightened out, double check, make sure that you had your HD card in there when you're taking photos, all that kind of stuff. Hopefully you do it way before, but definitely at the end you can wrap up. Oh, I got your, I did get a picture of your ID, or I did do this. Usually that's when checks are written if that's going on. And we don't do, well, I guess we do trade content too. This should be all the time. Make sure you know when you're going to release it, how much you're releasing for, all that kind of stuff. Sadly, not sadly, I guess there's a lot of trade going on right now in the industry. Sadly, is not everyone gets to really know the person they're doing trade with before, so they don't have that feeling of who's releasing it where. We always release stuff on our website, then we go to everywhere else to sell it. Our website's always first because we'd rather have our members have that, but you don't want to lose a friend or an industry, whatever, acquaintance, just because you decide to sell it on a site for $10 and they want to sell it for $30. And they're thinking, why buy it from me to $30 when they can do your $10 one? So just make sure everyone's in agreement with that. So that's it. I'm done.
Okay. Just a little add in there. The reason I see over on the side, some of you guys are talking about your previews and how long they are. There's a reason why ours are longer, because if you put your previews out on tube sites, if you make them too short, you're never going to see your previews on the front. So if they're at 90 seconds or more, you will get your previews at the front of a tube site. If your previews are at 60 seconds, you're never going to see your previews on a tube site. So know that, or you're never going to see them there. And so if you want to see them there, you got to make them a little bit longer. And go ahead, Lexi.
So I want to go back and touch on the apps that people use for editing. Because I do have Adobe Suite, I use Premiere Rush a lot, which is basically Premiere Pro, but like only the stuff you need. So if Premiere Pro is a little too intimidating for you and you have access, download Premiere Rush to your phone and you are going to see your edit by more than half. It is really great for quick edits. It does a little bit of sound. It does a little bit of color correction. It allows you to put in a watermark at the bottom. It's a little nuanced, but with a little bit of online help, you can really create some great stuff. And honestly, it's the app that helped me to finally pull the trigger on doing my own content and doing the editing piece. Because for me, the editing piece was probably the thing that was holding me back the most from doing my own stuff. And once I realized that it doesn't have to be what I see professional companies doing with when I perform. It doesn't have to be that. They're not here for that. If they want that, they're going to go to browsers. They're going to go to Reality Kings and find my stuff there. They want to see me doing my thing. So I had to let go of the whole, oh, I don't have the right equipment. Oh, I don't have the right editing skills. Oh, I don't have the right blah, 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 and just start putting out content, because I wasn't making any money not having the right whatever. So
Right.
at least now I'm, putting my stuff out there. I'm getting the clicks versus a company getting the clicks on my name. And one thing that's really helped me with that is to find this app called Watermark.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you can see it. I can watermark a video. I'm going to show you real quick. I can watermark a video with a scrolling watermark. So for example, on this video here, it's my Snapchat. Can you guys see it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you'll see in just a little bit, you see how my Luna Productions scrolls across? So every like 3 seconds, it'll go back through. I use this on my OnlyFans because I put my OnlyFans, they get to see my, Snap story that I take from my Snapchat subscribers and put on OnlyFans. But I don't want that content to get stolen because it is on there for anybody, and I have had my site ripped. So I put on through this Watermark app, I just scroll it through every 3 seconds. You can change the intensity of it. You can change how long it stays there. And it's a way that I can do 2 things at once, multi-purposing that content, putting it on for the people who subscribe to Snapchat, but then also my $10 a month subscribers on OnlyFans, because they don't get to see that content. And it's so easy for me to just save that story, put a watermark on it through that app, and repurpose it and put it up on OnlyFans, and they get another piece of my life. So just like not letting the details bog you down, because you don't have a program to edit. If you have an iPhone, you have iMovie. That's a start. Just making sure that you're not getting so stuck on, I don't have the right equipment. This is probably one thing that saved me the most. It's a little microphone, and it connects into my phone. And it's directional. It has its own app. It's great. I don't have to worry. I mean, yeah, I still turn off the AC, but I don't have to worry about those little apartment noises as much, because I have great sound. Because let's be real, I don't think the iPhone does great sound, but this little mic that I found on Amazon has really cut down on my editing for audio, which is probably the thing that I struggle with the most. And then my last point is to go on YouTube and type in Premiere Pro, how to fix audio sound, how to zoom in, how to whatever app you're doing. YouTube will teach you everything, and it is literally the only way that over 4 years I've learned how to edit. So just use the resources that the general population uses for everything else and apply it to your business.
Perfect.
And
Okay.
add some more.
Right.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I do too. I know
We're
you're
gonna
getting
go
so much
to
stuff.
Alana first.
I wanted to add one more thing. I sometimes when I'm feeling it, especially for trailers, everybody's talking about trailers. Are you guys adding music? Because again, I come from the old school porn days where everything had bow chicka bow wow. You can get music loops royalty free because you're paying for the little bits of sound. I think it's called Music Maker Jam. I think that's what this is. Yeah. And I'll pay like $2 or $3. They give you 4 different like loop sections, and you don't have to be like some musical genius. Sure, if you like it, you could totally make whatever you want by layering all the different loops, or you just take a generic thing, throw it in the back, and lower the sound, at least for some of your trailers, because it adds more to it. We all like putting our booty bouncing videos up on OnlyFans and stuff, but when you got a bass drop into it, it makes it that much more interesting, or it adds to the advertisement if you're using that trailer for somewhere else. So yeah, it's super cheap and it's fun, and I'll sit here for 4 hours at a time just making it. The one that I use, GarageBand is a popular one, but I have found I actually like, it's called Music Maker Jam. I like it because it allows you 4 different types of loops, and it's all kinds of music for free each month. And then you can buy different types for like $1.99 or $2.99. I bought all different types, video game sounds to, piano music to old school guitar, like all kinds of stuff. So it's rad. So I just wanted to add that.
I have one more thing to add about apps and such. I also use a recording app. I don't use the camera on my phone. I use a recording app called Mavis, Mavis, and it allows to do white balancing within the app. It allows contrast, doing all those color adjustments up front, so I don't have to do them in post, because I do shoot in different places in my house that don't always have the same light, and it's not always feasible to get the same light depending on what corner I'm in. So Mavis has done a really good job of still utilizing the stability that the have the camera app open, as well as uses magnets to stabilize. So if you don't have the actual Apple camera app open, those magnets aren't activated. So if you're using a secondary app but your stability is not great, check to make sure that your camera phone's app is open. Mavis has been really great. It's cut down my color correction in half, because I can just see it right there. It looks just like a professional camera, and it's just a way that I've kind of stepped up the post-production game, is not having to worry about, because I'm getting it ready while I'm in front of the camera.
Awesome.
Is
Okay.
Mavis and Watermark apps the only for iPhone? You're only using your
I have two iPhones, so that's the only way I'm using them, but I'm not sure.
Are you only using your phone to film, or do you use a DSLR or a regular camera as well?
I only use my phone. It can film up to 4K. I'm really happy with the quality. It's great in low light, so I don't have to have my equipment 100% perfect to be able to get some quality that I feel is quality enough for my production. Okay.
So Android people, I have an app for you that you may like. It's called B612. So B is in boy, 612. And it's an interesting app. Sometimes the filtering can be a little too strong for me, but what's good about it is that it does both photos and video recording. And it does it in such a way that can be very flattering to your skin, and change all kinds of colors and whatnot. So that's something that you could look into. So we were talking about Adobe Pro. I actually really like a kind of middle of the road editing application for PC. I'm a PC person. I'm not a Mac person. So I go with Pinnacle Studio Pro. And I found this app to be extremely useful. It's not an app. It's just a software program. It's cheaper than Premiere. You can upgrade for also every season, every year they have new, things. But you don't have to upgrade. You don't have a membership. So once you've paid for it, you're done. And I've always had good luck with that. And I think the capabilities are very good in comparison to Adobe Premiere.
Okay.
I have more, D.
Okay, go ahead. I can't talk.
Okay, I got you. To answer a lot of questions, and I noticed Sarah was asking in the room if you ladies didn't already, a bunch of the questions for the mics and all the different apps you guys use. So if you don't mind that. YouTube, yes, I've learned so much on YouTube, and there's different opinions. It's not like you need to look at one person's way to do something. There's a lot of different options. So definitely remember that. Yeah, I mean, I used to use music, and I really only use it for little intros and stuff like that. And one thing to remember, ask your fans. Sometimes you have fans that might make some pretty sick music. So ask them, and that way you're promoting each other. His fans are coming to their fans are coming to you. Your fans are going to them. So ask your fans. We've done that same thing. Someone asked about pre-made PNGs, being able to go and, watermark it, I guess, out of Photoshop or whatever. Definitely. I mean, that's all we have is pre-made stuff that, when you exit out of Lightroom, it shows it there, and all that kind of stuff. You can play with it. Someone asked about GIFs. I just use Photoshop. I'm sure there's some much easier apps to use, but I'm too lazy, I guess, to find them. And one important one that one person asked, or kind of was responding, I guess, to what I said, is making sure when you're doing trade, everyone's on the same page. And we actually talked about this, me and Alana and Dee last year at this thing, at YNOT, I should say. It's really hard to stipulate prices and sites. There's new sites that come up. Now you can't. What if you want to have a sale on your content? Now you can't. You know, yep, we're selling this for $20 and $20 only. All right, but now I want to have a sale. Nope, you can't have a sale, you know, or all that kind of stuff. So really just know who you're shooting with. Trust the person you're shooting with. And every once in a while you may get fucked over, and that's sad, and you learn a lesson. But really know who you're shooting, because if you don't, yeah, you're going to run into those problems and stuff like that. Yeah, there's a lot of royalty-free stuff. It's just usually kind of generic, I guess you can say, or you have to modify it and stuff. So yeah. And hey, welcome back. And I guess, and then back to the previews. And again, it depends. If you got a 10-minute video, of course you don't want a long preview. Chop it up. It doesn't have to be just like 90 seconds to 2 minutes of straight video. I mean, yeah, you don't want to do that. Like, we splice it up and find your own feel. You know, if you're making something more like, you know, the Pizza Boys coming over or something like that, you can definitely make it a lot more interesting. And actually, a lot of the tube sites now want 5-minute previews, so it's kind of a pain in the ass to be on the front page. I know we some of them we get on the front page all the time, which has ruined a lot of my friends, because they go on and they see my penis basically when they wake up. But when that's the case, yeah, I mean, it really depends on the site. A lot of sites too, you can sell on the sites, the tube sites now. So remember that. You can get traffic, you can sell. There's a lot of different ways to do that. So I guess that's part of post-productions, but yeah, that's it. I'm done.
I see Lauren's question. Hi, Lauren Phillips. I definitely kind of also am in this conversion phase where it's like, okay, I need to be posting this not just to OnlyFans, but I don't want it to feel disingenuous to my fans that I'm like posting it to OnlyFans and to Pornhub. So the way that I kind of deal with this is just allowing when I film something, I try to film it with 2 versions in mind. I do a lot of stepmom content. So I'll say, oh, you like that, baby boy? And in the next breath, I'll say, oh, you like that, baby? And that way I can kind of edit and splice different parts of the scene together to make 2 different clips. I did one where it was a boyfriend jerk off instruction and a stepmom jerk off instruction. And it's the same video. I edited it a little bit differently to be able to, you know, instead of hearing baby boy, which my fans who aren't into that don't want to hear, and they're not going to buy that clip, they hear that loving boyfriend sensual part. So it's being smart about the, like, how can I use this scene in multiple ways, but make it a little bit different? Because I do have fans who are on my Snapchat and my OnlyFans and my Pornhub and if they just see the same content being posted across all sites, they're going to very quickly not be my fan anymore. So I try to keep it a little bit different, but also get creative with your descriptions, because that's where a lot of, especially in fetish, that's where a lot of these people are starting their session. They're starting with reading the description and getting turned on for it and getting ready for it. And you can, I think, do a lot with just editing how you're describing your scene and what mood you're setting for it.
And to jump on what Lexi was talking about, description, definitely. Be vulgar, be whatever you're saying, you know, brunette, big tits, fetish, you know, whatever it is, definitely do that when it comes to your thing. I shouldn't say differ from, but it's just different from everyone. I've realized, you know, if you have OnlyFans fans, they pretty much try to stick to that OnlyFans platform. So as long as you're being fair, I mean, and then you can sell it on minivids and like our site, you know, or your OnlyFans, say, for instance, you want to keep them like, hey, we're special. Wait a week or 2, you know, and again, everyone has their own thing. What she's doing is really smart, you know, for what she does. For what I do, we'd basically have 2 sex scenes, and that would be kind of hard, you know. But yeah, if you're trying to keep someone loyal, like our member site, we always post there first and then wait a week, and then it can go somewhere else. It's much more expensive to do it that way, and then we keep all our prices on all the tube sites the same. You know, you have Pornhub guys, you have X-Hamster guys, you have X-Videos guys that just maybe where they're located, maybe what they like, the other videos they see on there. A lot of times they'll stick to that one platform. So, yeah, again.
Well, my input on that one, I have kind of a system I use where I use my social media to hype up what I'm doing. So I start with my Instagram and my Twitter to kind of let people, I'll post a picture, then I'll make a little clip just to say what I'm doing. And this is before I even, begin shooting it. And it may even be days before I shoot it. And then I'll film the video, and then I'll get them interested in that. And then I say, okay, go to my Snapchat and check that, that's when I'm actually going to film it. Then I say, okay, go listen to our podcast. Maybe we're going to talk about that. Okay, then now go to my OnlyFans, because I've made a little clip there to talk about that. So I build upon, my main goal is to get them to join my website, but every other step of the way, they're joining $3 here, $5 here, $15 here, to finally get to $25 here. So they've joined everything along the way to get to that one video, because they've gone through the process of going to every little thing to keep going to the final step. And because it's all just a buildup of getting to see me naked on that very final one, which is a gangbang, but it's just really just a lot of talk about what I'm going to get to next. So it's really a lot of just building upon the psychological aspect of them, of trying to just keep them, keep them jerking off to the fact that, oh my gosh, what's she gonna do next? So just keep them interested and keep them excited over what's gonna happen next, and it works great. So, it's just a good process to go on to. So do any of you have anything further you'd like to discuss with anyone, or is there any other questions that people would like to bring up?
Nope, they're gonna kick us out soon. So
yeah, we're almost done here.
I'm gonna post into the thing the band list from Clips for Sale, just to give you an idea. Not the whole list, but just the link. So I know somebody was asking about band words.
They're the hardest one. Clips for Sale is the hardest one, because
I had to ask Clips for Sale. I'd say you pass.
Every site actually does have different band words. Clips for Sale is different than IWC, different than ManyVids, so you have to check each of them. I actually do have a quick thing, which was related to one of my greatest successes. I learned that I don't have to follow pricing rules if I find a niche that works specifically for me. I started posting videos that I thought were beautifully made and really specific in a niche market. And for me, this was pantyhose, stockings, feet, and just like particular brands of high-end things. And that can be different for everyone. And I just started posting them for hundreds of dollars, which is really different than the dollar per minute clip pricing that you generally see. And so I bring this up not because I think everyone should do this, but because there truly are these really interesting niche categories that people should think about what might work for them, and also to break the rules that somehow get discussed, that this is how you should be pricing things. Not to say that this will work for everyone, but it worked for me in different ways. Once I found out who was willing to pay for this kind of content, then I could specifically target my attention to them so that they become, my couture clients, if you will. And two, just understanding that the market flows in different ways that you don't expect. You don't necessarily have to do mass production and mass appeal. So that was my last share.
One more share, and I'll do it quick before we get kicked out. You got to know what to load where. You can't load fisting on Clips for Sale. Found that out the hard way. So you know what you can before you get kicked off. There are, if you're doing DVDs, different laws, such as fisting, that you can't do, through commerce. So if you're trying to go from Texas, and there's a lot of other things when it comes to that, like where you keep your records, all that kind of stuff. Make sure you follow the laws where you're shooting. Even though we do what we do, don't get yourself in, fucked up trouble because you're in the middle of Missouri and, you got a personal agenda. And then, well, I can't read my last one, so whatever. That's it.
Okay. Thank you guys all for being here. This was a wonderful panel. I appreciate that we had like over 100 people in here. That is amazing and awesome. And I hope you all enjoyed all the information. I hope you learned something. Feel free to follow us all on our social media. Ask questions. We are all educators. We're all here to help you guys. My social media, my Twitter is Mrs. Siren. My Instagram is d.siren. Alana, give yours.
Alana Evans, ALANAEVANSXXX, pretty much everywhere. Twitter, IG, all of it.
She's also the president of the
Adult
union.
Performers Actors Guild. Yay! Thank you guys.
Wow.
And Lexi?
Lexi Luna XOXO, I just put it in the chat. And if you find me on Twitter and you have questions about something I said, just hit me up. Don't send me a DM because I won't see it, but add me and ask the question. I'm so happy to always help, especially because I know how it is to be new, struggling or not.
Awesome.
And Wayne put his in the chat as well. He's Wayne.Siren everywhere. And Miss Kim?
I'm at Ms. Kim, APMZKIM, AP. I put it in the chat, and then you can always find me and my classes that I have recorded on MsKim.com. So it's MZKIM.com. And this was really cool. Thank you, everyone. I learned a lot as well.
Me too.
Yeah, I did too. I took notes. I think everybody took notes on all the different apps and everything like that. And I think thank you everyone for coming, and it was wonderful. So we'll talk to you all soon, and good luck.
Awesome.
Stay safe.
Bye, guys.
Love you guys.
Ladies.
Bye.
Bye.